Hello.
Hi. Sorry, I'm actually just faffing with my screen right now.
What does faffing mean?
Faffing, like
Yeah,
taking my
faffing.
sweet damn time. Faff it like a fat, like you faff.
What if you had a Southern accent and I had a British accent for the entire podcast?
Not really.
You're so not ready. What do you think about my skin today? I used something called a honey mask, which really reminded me of last season when you were talking about putting honey all over your
The
body.
sauna story.
Yeah, it feels nice. I like it.
Your skin always looks pretty good, to be fair.
Oh, Jake, how you been? How's your week been?
Pretty good. Shall I do the intro?
I guess. Yeah, fine. Do the intro.
Welcome back to the Out of Bounds podcast, season 2, episode 2, with Jake Williamson and Sam Leicht, where we talk about all things gay, sport, and culture. Let's get into it.
I loved that. That was so deliberate. It was really, really solid. Good work.
Thank you.
How's your week? What were you up to?
I did the CrossFit Open and I still hurt. My body's sore. Have you done it?
Yeah, I did it, and I was so disappointed in myself, and I'm still so
Really?
sore too. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like a ballpark workout for me, and I just bombed. It was hard. It was a hard workout.
It was tough. What did you get?
272.
That's not bad.
Normally, wall balls are my shit, but the gym that I've been going to doesn't have a high enough target. Like the ceilings are too low. And so this was like a really rude awakening going to a gym with the full height of the wall ball and being like, I thought that just using a 30-pound ball to a lower target was going to be an equivalent. But then when I got to the 20-pound ball and did the higher target, I was just destroyed. It just destroyed me. And
Yeah,
my legs
the height does make a big
are
difference.
killing me.
Yeah, mine was sore. So for
Yeah.
reference, for anyone who doesn't know, the CrossFit Open is something that happens yearly. It's a 3-week competition in which anyone can enter, but you have to be affiliated to a CrossFit box or gym, and that's kind of how they hook you in, and it is their business model. But either way, that CrossFit as an entity releases workouts. This one being 26.1. The next one, which comes out this week or next week, will be 26.2, and then there's 26.3, and then it's all done on a leaderboard, and it's all based on different workouts to try and find who the fittest human on the planet is. And this is like round 1, and then you go to quarterfinals, and then you go to semifinals, and then you go to CrossFit Games. But the beauty of the CrossFit Open is that it's designed in a way that you can scale it and everyone can kind of be a part of the community. So I think, as we've mentioned before, CrossFit can get a bit of a bad rep in terms of being like not very inclusive, but actually is a pretty inclusive space and environment for people to get into sport and fitness and compete as well. So this week's workout was 26.1, and it was essentially a climbing ladder of wall balls and then declining ladder of wall balls, and then in between you do like box step overs and box jumps as well.
It's interesting. I've been doing the Open for 12 years now. It has gone through so many different iterations in terms of how popular it is, because it used to be that it was a 4-week thing, and every Friday night we would go to the gym. There would be like 200 people there. It'd be like Friday Night Lights, and everyone would be so jazzed. They'd have like 10 different heats of these workouts, and you would push yourself because you're going against the best people in the gym. If you're a morning workout person, you're working out against people who usually come at night. It's just like a really cool competitive environment that we don't get as adults. We don't do that to ourselves very often. So I loved it. I used to love the Open. And now, yeah, CrossFit annoys me. So it is like I'm a little disenchanted by it, but I still do it because I like competing.
Yeah, I guess for reference as to why CrossFit pisses Sam off, there's a few things that CrossFit is a sport, but it's also a brand and a business. And there are people who are CEOs, there are people who are leaders, there are people who make decisions. And it's become over the years a toxic type organization, I guess, with a few things happening. And then was it 2 years ago or 2 years ago, one of the athletes, due to safeguarding reasons rather than the athlete having any kind of like cardiac arrest or something that is kind of out of your control, it was due to safeguarding issues that an athlete died in the water. And it kind of was like a moment of like, is CrossFit going to survive? And I feel like CrossFit as a sport will always be there because it's so good as a modality for people to lift, run, move in certain planes and motions and everything. And if you're going to get into fitness and like encompass it, I think it's the perfect model to do a bit of everything. That's what Sam means in terms of bi when he says like it pisses him off essentially as a business rather than as a modality of training.
The modality is like close to perfect. I don't even accept the whole like, oh, CrossFit is so dangerous anymore because I find that to be very reductive. As a whole, the CrossFit methodology is supposed to actually prevent injury. And of course, if you're working out, you are at a higher likelihood of injuring yourself doing a back squat comparatively to if you just were never back squatting. But that's an injury that I'll take because of the reduced risk of chronic disease and because of how much longer it allows us to live, and et cetera. I love CrossFit modality. Hate that the founder says racist shit and that they do homophobic shit and that they are pretty anti-trans. Yeah, I feel like they make wrong turn after wrong turn. And that's very frustrating to me because that was my background. That's what I started fitness in. But I'm excited for us to do the next couple of weeks. I'm interested in how they are. I hope there's not a lot of squats because my quads just can't handle it.
Yeah. What else did you do this week?
I'm going on vacation right after this. Going to Miami. Have you been to Miami?
Let's go. No, I'd like to go. Are you going to be there for Wadapalooza? Is that in Miami?
It is in Miami, but I won't be going to that. It's a cool event. I've been, but no, when I go to Miami, I just stay at my friend's house and we play volleyball in her backyard and just stay like
The
just
dream. I think I've seen
Yeah.
you there. You go there a few times, right? Yeah. Okay, next
Yeah,
time you
yeah.
go, I want an invitation because I want to play
You can come.
volleyball in the back garden.
My mentor, who we stay with, she's amazing and just very, very inspiring. And getting to stay with her, we get to play volleyball all day, and I get to like pick her brain about how brilliant she is at business. And like, yeah, it's pretty cool.
In terms of mentor, is that a business thing or a life coach thing or
Kind of both. She created Solid Core. I don't know if you have those in the UK. It's a big Pilates brand here, and she's brilliant. I would say a lot of what she does is like uh, brick and mortar, how to scale gyms quickly. That's obviously a little bit different than what I'm doing with the virtual space, but she still has so much information. She's just like a really impressive person, and she's so smart, and she kind of like just like walks the walk. So kind of both.
I think it's important to have, whether it's someone that you're paying or whether it's just in life, I think it's really, really important. If you want to be not necessarily successful, like what does successful look like? But if you want to be successful, then I do think having those people who have been there, walked the walk, done it, kind of led the path that you're wanting to lead is really, really important. And whether that is also like a sexual identity crisis that you're going through. And it's like I had to lean on a lot of people when I was kind of going through it. I was like, I need to just speak to someone who's been through what I've been through.
Yeah.
So that's the same in business and now I do it more so with like mindset coaching for performance based stuff. So that's something that I'm trying to lean into a little bit more over the next like 6 to however many months carrying
And
forwards.
do you usually find that those people are other athletes, or do you find that they're usually coaches?
No, I think it comes more from like a sports psych side of things for
Mm.
that. HYROX is quite a new sport, but like sport coaching and psychology, athletes being nervous for the Olympic Games, it's always like it's 80% mental, 20% physical sort of situation. So really trying to lean into that the next couple of years. So I'm yeah, I feel like it definitely helped me doing it in the Phoenix race. So it's something that I want to continue to do to just frame everything in the right direction. Yeah. Form of therapy, really.
Totally. That kind of leads us into our first in the gay news article, and that is Manchester United's Jack Fletcher uses gay slur. Tell me about this because you know much more about the football world than I do. Football.
Yeah, so this is academy kind of level, so under 21 in an under 21 match. And the thing that annoys me the most about this and about this player in particular is yes, he's 18 years old, young, but also old enough to know exactly what he's doing and to know the effects and whatever else that it can have. But his dad was a professional footballer as well. So what it tells me is where the football culture was and potentially where it still
Mm.
is for him to feel like it's acceptable to use that slur. So he called someone a gay boy on the pitch, to use that level of homophobia in person, in a game, in your professional environment. Don't like this is someone's workplace. People
Yeah.
forget sometimes that if you're a professional athlete and you're in sport, this is a workplace. That wouldn't be allowed in any other workplace. If you were to say that, you would probably be fired by now, like in this day and age now. Being homophobic is a hate crime. It is, you can be prosecuted as a form of punishment. This player got a 6-match ban off the back of this. I'm not sure the context. I assume the player reported it and then proceedings went on from there. But it's more like I don't get it, but like gay is always and always has been used as a derogatory, as a term of taking the piss out of someone or whatever. But as I said, his dad was a professional footballer. We know that there's no out professional footballers in the Premier League or the Championship or even in any real tier of English football at the moment. It just shouts to me. It's like, where are we at still with the football in particular side of homophobia and athletes feeling comfortable in coming out?
It's interesting because, like I said, I'm less in the know in this world. I'm having a little bit of dissonance about this because I don't know if this is right, but I see that the phrase is like, quote, gay boy. And I'm like, that's not that bad. If he were to say, like, oh, you fucking faggot, I would feel differently. And I don't know if necessarily I should. I think that like a gay slur is a gay slur. And it seems like a 6-match ban probably is a good punishment. A lifetime ban for something that is like verbal as opposed to something that's like physical.
My thing is with the punishment is like I'm not saying that he should get a lifetime ban for saying gay boy. That's ridiculous. But I do think that if you don't punish people and make them aware that this is not acceptable, where does the line go? Like if you said something racial, I'm sure it would be a bigger match ban than 6-match ban. And I think if someone's in the academy and they're saying
That's
something like
interesting.
that, they wouldn't be taken off.
Obviously, if you continue to let things slide, if we didn't say that he should get a 6-match ban for saying gay boy, then like it just is like a downward spiral from there, right? If we're just going to like let those types of things go. And does it do us a disservice as a community by like nitpicking on lesser important things? And that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, is this something that is like a big deal worth our time? Or is this something where we're like, oh, we're just going to make these straight
People
cis
hate us.
players
Yeah, when you
hate
become
us
too
for being,
when you
yeah,
become too woke, I agree, but I don't think this is a situation. I think this is a situation in a sport where homophobia and being someone who was in that world and very much closeted, I feel like there needs to be more done around it. But I do
mm,
agree. I think
mm.
there's an element of like if you go too far, you just piss people off.
I
So
can't say anything. I can't call
it's
anyone a
having
gay boy anymore.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Where does the education need to come into play here? I think he has been ordered to do an education program. What that looks like, I have no idea. My big mission and goal as a purpose once I finish like being selfish and competing in my own bubble is to put a real big focus around the BT&D Foundation and to put education programs in place that are actually, I mean, I'm not slagging off the educational program that he will go and do, but a thing that has real
We have to
purpose
assume
and
it's not exceptional.
it's
It's
kind of
probably
yeah,
not.
yeah. It's gonna be a box ticking exercise where if you have real lived experiences and you go in and have those communications, I think it has a lot more impact. I'd like to really deep dive into that and make a bit of a bigger difference within whether it's football or sport in general.
I love it. I think that it's something that is so needed and someone really needs to kind of dedicate time, resources to making that information more accessible for teams. Because I think that coaches mostly don't have the resources available to them to be able to educate their
A lot of these coaches
athletes.
will come from these same environments, and if they're not
Yeah,
gay
totally.
themselves, then they're gonna have that level of vocabulary themselves.
Hmm.
So it's just a systemic thing, really.
This actually leads us into our second story really well because Hillary Knight of the US women's hockey team was on SNL with Connor Story. And as far as we
He's got such
know,
an aura,
yeah, he really
hasn't he?
does. Yeah. But we're not talking about him. We're talking about Hillary
No,
Knight.
sorry.
And she's the first out LGBTQ athlete on SNL, which is cool, you know? And it seems like the female athletes are more like, I don't give a fuck about being out.
I think
They don't see the
there's
drawbacks
just
as
less of a
much.
taboo and a stigma, I think. Like, don't get me wrong, there is still
Totally.
elements of like being a lesbian that is difficult and depending on your upbringing and your community and whatever else. Like there's still barriers to entry as if it's like a you need a ticket. There's barriers to it. But I do like within sport and in it's almost a given now these days, isn't it? Like if you're a woman playing sport, there's a high probability that you're probably a lesbian. So It's
I don't know how high a probability.
why? That's true.
I mean, not necessarily. I don't think the statistics really. I,
Google it.
I mean, anyway, I just think that there's a large number of men who have in their brains that, quote, this is going to ruin my career if I come out. And that's in the sports space. It's also in the acting space. And I think that there's some truth to that. You know, society has not moved fast enough. We've got plenty of examples of queer athletes coming out, or gay athletes specifically coming out, and it doesn't ruin their careers because, once again, if they're the best person on the team, or if they're the best skier like Gus Kenworthy, or if they're the best diver like
Mm.
Tom Daley, that
I think if
they're
you're the
still going to
best,
win medals. They're still going to be Olympians, you
I
know?
think if you're the best, then yeah. But there is definitely an element of fear around acceptance and whatever else within your teams. Football is a prime example when it's or soccer, and it's so widely universal that there's so many cultures involved,
Mm,
and there's when anything pride is apparent, you're at least one of the clubs will have either a Muslim player or a player, Russian player, for example, who will be like, I am not wearing that shirt, and
yeah.
they won't play based on it. So that's in your own changing room, your own teammates. Like, oh, why aren't there more gay players? And I wish there was, but I remember being in that position, and I was so scared. Like there was
Yeah.
no way I was even going to tell myself, let alone tell anyone else that I was gay. So
Do you think I mean, for the big four, I agree with you. If we look at like soccer, American football, basketball, and baseball, I'm totally with you that there, because the team aspect is so kind of like heteronormative and masculine,
yeah,
it does seem like you coming out, you would feel like you're imposing your sexuality on this like locker room. So I think, unfortunately, that's just like maybe an unfortunate truth right now. Do you think it's less a thing in other sports? It doesn't feel like
I
it's
think so. I do
as
think it's less. I
challenging
do
for
think it's
like
less. I think there's less because there's less financial risk involved as well. I
totally.
think there's I think there's just a number of reasons. I think it's less fan based as well. Like if you look at the number of people that watch and are engaged with these top sports that are always on your bloody TV, whether you like it or not, you're gonna see an element of soccer or NFL or like we even
Mm,
get it in the UK. Like if there's a big NFL game, it's on the telly.
yeah.
So it's worldwide. So
But like, I
the
think that
fandom is a
tennis could
big
have
thing as
more
well.
gay guys. I think that, and no one would care.
There
Golf
is
could,
one
yeah,
this guy
yeah.
that we spoke about, yeah. But even
Swimming is
golf though,
fine.
golf is
Like,
very like straight white man, isn't it? I
that's
don't
why
know
you like
how
golf so much.
I love golf. Just watch all the daddies play golf.
I To bring it back, Hillary Knight being on SNL was cool. It was a
Yeah,
lovely little
I
surprise.
like that. But also
Stick.
you then not to turn it into a negative, but it's like why the fuck hasn't that happened before?
I know, totally. Our final story today, I'm excited to chat with you about it. It's an Atlantic article that was released. It's called In Defense of Effeminate Boys, and it was written by Ben Apple. He is a gay man who grew up pretty feminine and was bullied, and he's arguing that some gender nonconforming boys today might be getting pushed toward medical transition when they're actually just gay. And I was reading this article and I was kind of thinking like it does feel faintly anti-trans, even though I think that he tries really hard not to be.
It's a hard thing to say without sounding. But you can see 100% where he's coming from, but it almost feels as if he's agreeing with the far right bigots
Yes.
who are like, "Oh, you're brainwashing our kids or you shouldn't be doing this," when in reality it's like, is it good parenting where you're just allowing your child to be completely who they want to be? I think he's got a point, but I also think there's an element of the transgender side of things where at what age and at what point do you start medication and what point do you start the transition? There's so much nuance around it that it is a really difficult subject.
What he's saying seems to be that we shouldn't be discouraging uh, young boys from just presenting however they want to present. And I feel like with him saying that and then taking it a step further and being like, I think that this would discourage a lot of boys from transitioning. They would just be more gender nonconforming. But then are you stopping them from transitioning if that's the decision that they end up making for themselves? You know, I fully believe that when I am a parent, I am going to try and foster an environment for my child where they're able to live as authentically as possible. I think us being gay makes us hyper aware of this idea that
Mm.
we don't want to like make any kind of outside influence on our kid. We want to like let them be themselves, you know?
What, you mean you're not gonna make your child gay?
I'm going
What
to
the
make my
fuck,
child
Sam?
gay,
The fuck is wrong with you?
but we're so aware of it. We're like,
I don't want a straight child.
we're
Ugh.
hyper aware of it, you know? And so the idea of kind of being like, yeah, we're not letting our kids be effeminate enough. I don't know who you're talking to. Do you think that you're talking to like a bunch of Republicans and they're like, yeah, I just want to let my boy dress up uh, like a princess, but I don't want them to transition. Like, that's not the conversation
So
that's
when I
happening
was a
right
kid,
now.
I would put dresses on and things. So
Totally.
I I don't I yeah, it's a topic I'm not well equipped enough to to discuss really. But I think the news and the article was interesting. I think we're both obviously very pro trans rights and trans humans and just general happiness for a person. If they transition and that's what they genuinely feel is them, we're absolute 100% full support. And I think that goes
Yeah.
without saying.
It feels like there's this talking point of can we have this conversation? Can Ben Apple, the author of the article, have this conversation without being labeled anti trans? And it does feel like, at least anecdotally, I felt like we have been able to have this
The
conversation a
funny
little bit
thing is
more.
though, is most trans people aren't that fucking sensitive around it. They'll
No, I
happily have
agree.
the conversations. Like anyone I've had a conversation with will happily have an open conversation around sport, and not every single one will have the same opinion either. So
Totally, totally.
that's the thing that's most kind of there is no right or wrong answer necessarily. There's right or wrong in terms of ethical, but there's no real right or wrong of what you think.
Well, I think that the US government is trying really hard to drive a wedge that doesn't fully exist. Of
Yeah,
course,
I
people have
agree with
different
that.
opinions about this, but you know, this week in Kansas, do you know where Kansas is on a map? It's in the
It's
middle
giving
middle
it's
of the country.
giving yeah, it's giving Texas vibes in my head.
Yeah, it's north of Texas, but I mean, yeah, it's I like consider Kansas the South. I guess some people might consider it the Midwest-ish. But in Kansas, they within like a week were like, "Hey, all if you are trans, your driver's license are invalid and you need to get a new driver's license with your sex that was assigned at birth before you're able to drive a
Really?
car again." And they gave him less than a week for them to actually do this, right? And it's once again just an example of government kind of making it seem like there's such a big difference between the trans people in our country and everyone else when you're like, this just doesn't, it's not real. It's not real. I don't, drives me nuts.
I find it crazy that you can be within the same country and still have completely different laws and regulations through. I know America is massive, but yeah.
Bruce,
Hello. We did
Welcome,
it.
welcome, welcome.
Thank you. How are we?
Thanks for joining us.
you are the skip for Great Britain's curling team. Yes. And I was doing some research on what the skip is, and it sounds like I'm kind of the skip for Jake. Can you tell
Right.
us a little bit about, for people who are not as well versed in curling, tell us a little bit more about it?
So my role in curling is to basically come up with the tactics to kind of dictate play, and then I throw the last two stones. So a lot of pressure is on me. I kind of become a diva, so I just kind of point and shout a lot. So I'm guessing that's you in this scenario.
Absolutely.
I get to tell people what to do, so it's great.
Did you ever imagine that? Because for some reason, curling is like the pinnacle of the Winter Olympics for us in the UK, and I guess that almost comes from you guys being so good and an opportunity for us to win medals. Did you know that curling was going to kind of be as big and a talking point as it is?
I mean, that's the fortunate thing for our sport. Like, we're such a niche sport and we never really get much of the limelight. So every time the Olympics comes round, curling is on the TV every single day, sometimes up to like 3 to 6 hours a day as well. So it's not not just once, like I don't know, like a skeleton race, like down a track for a minute. So we have this opportunity that we obviously try and take with both hands and just make the most out of. And yeah, like this time around, I think because it was in Italy and obviously in the UK with the time zone being only an hour apart, it just made the world of difference to us. And like we've seen such an influx of people wanting to take part in our sport. Like kids are so excited to want to participate, which just is so exciting for us because we were starting to see like so many clubs just dwindle with memberships. So having that off the back of the Olympics is almost like another medal to me. It's like, it's so special.
That's amazing. Do you feel
Yeah.
like you've been able to kind of emotionally process the Olympics? It's been a couple of weeks now. Where are you at mind-wise?
Honestly, no. I think it's just been a whole whirlwind of just craziness. Honestly, like I've not even had time to just sit and just be like, what have we done?
Treating you like a rock star. That's so
Yeah,
good.
like honestly, people have just been so nice and like we're getting recognized in the street, which is just bizarre. Like Craig and I, my partner and I, we walked around Stirling, which is where we live, and we went into the shopping center. And this like 6'5" burly workman was like fangirling. And I was just like, what is going on? And his wife in the background is just like, I'm so embarrassed.
So good.
So
I
yeah,
love it.
it's been wild.
Me and Sam spoke last week. Obviously, we were celebrating the silver, but we were like, as a competitor and as an athlete, the one thing that you really wanted was obviously the gold. What was the mindset and how do you deal with that as an athlete, as being like, I need to celebrate what I've just done, but also you can and you're allowed to essentially be sad that you haven't taken the gold, essentially.
Yeah. Like a lot of people are still saying congratulations, but commiserations to us,
Yeah.
which you mean I totally get. And I have been in my feels for a couple of weeks, just been like, oh, we were so close in that game. And I think the crazy thing for us is that we've done this for 9 years as a team. And the first thing that we ever kind of said in our first meeting was we want to win the Olympic gold. And we were so close last time around in 2022. And then to get to the exact same point and not to do it again, I think that's why you saw like so much emotion come out of Grant and Hammy on the podium. Because it took, you only get 2 chances in those 9 years to get to go to the Olympics. And it takes a lot of work, like I'm sure you guys know in your sport. It's not just what people see at the Olympics. There's so much that goes on underneath all that. And it's so much to a lot of people. It's not just the 4 or 5 guys on the podium. It means a lot to so many other people.
As you said earlier, like it's tough for you guys because this is obviously you have competitions throughout the year and you compete and you do your own little world for your 4 years, but this is the big time to shine, isn't it, really? So there is a lot of pressure on you and on your shoulders, but I loved what I said. I was sending pictures to you as you were playing. I was like, oh, we were all behind you. Went to dinner with some friends and it was on again. And we were literally, by the time we'd finished dinner, all of us had swiveled our chairs around and no one was speaking to each other and we were just watching the curling. So yeah, it's been incredible to watch and well done, mate. Like it's been,
Oh, thank you.
It's really, really cool.
Can you tell us a little bit more about how your experience has been being openly gay in the sports fields? What has that been like for you?
It's been great for me.
Good.
I've said this like quite a lot. It's hard to put down like to the exact moment that my career started to get better, but coming out in 2014, it's like 2015 I won the World Junior Bronze, 2016 I won the World Juniors, 2017 I won the universities, like 2018 I won a World Men's Bronze. Like it just feels like that was the moment that everything just got better for me in my sporting career. And it's hard to say that that was the exact thing that made it better, but it was just being able to be myself, be a better teammate, be more open and honest with my team, be like a better friend to people because I was liking myself more. And, I always try and encourage people I don't want to force them into coming out or anything, but I just want them to like feel better within themselves. And if that's going to be because they came out, then, I think that's a good thing to do. It's a positive thing to do. And because like I was never thinking I was going to be the best or the elite curler. I just thought I was going to fight my best to try and get to the top. And then I just like found the right teammates. I got to the top, and then people were like, "Oh, you're such an inspiration to me." And that was just like mind blowing. I'm like, I don't feel like I've done anything to deserve that. I just feel like I was trying to just be myself, trying to just live my life with the people I want to be with, the guy I want to be with. And, you know, all that just kind of dealt with itself, and the curling just was easy.
Yeah, it's a shame that it's so difficult for people to do just those basic things. Like, as you say, like, you're not doing anything special. You're just by being so good at what you do, it automatically just creates an opportunity for someone to see role model, just someone who's so authentic, and there's no bells and whistles around it. It's simple, and you look happy and you seem happy.
I literally just like posting, I don't know, a photo of me and my partner holding hands, or me and my partner kissing, or something like that. That might like help someone else. And, you know, I didn't really necessarily think about that at the time, but then people are like, "Oh, wow, this is so cool to see you just being like authentically yourself in an elite sport." But yeah, the curling community has always supported me. Like, to my face anyway, no one's ever said anything bad to me. But, you know, people might say stuff behind my back, but, you know, what did Jinx Monsoon say? Like, water off a duck's back, you know?
You know, it's interesting because Jake and I are actually just talking about sports having such a big psychological component. And it does feel like if you are having to hide that part of yourself from your teammates, how can you possibly bring your best self to the sport? How are you going to be mentally resilient, psychologically resilient? So it makes sense to me, kind of going back to what you were saying about the big unlock. Maybe it wasn't causation, but it does seem like there's a correlation with you having like this immense success in your career because you were able to be authentic and kind of be out and proud, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And like not having to worry about what I was saying or what I was doing or how camp I was being or, you know, how I was walking. Like those are the small things that I was just like, oh, I can do that now. Like people know. I don't have to try and
totally.
hide. I can just like concentrate on like throwing the stone the perfect way to make a shot. You know, it's crazy how much you don't need to worry about after you kind of come out.
Something we spoke about earlier was around the condoms in the Olympic Village. Is the Olympic Village as crazy as people like? As I don't know who tries to portray it as such a crazy place, but is it as mental as people kind of make out, or is it just pretty chill? And what's the vibe and situation there?
I don't know if I was not getting invited to anything, but I never got any invites. Like, I don't know where all the condoms went.
You didn't take any of the condoms.
No, I didn't even see any. Like, I remember in Beijing, they had them literally as you walked in. There was just a bowl full of them. And then in Cortina, there was just, you had to go to like the pharmacy to get them, which is so boring. But no, I never even saw a single condom, unfortunately.
So I would have thought that everyone was pretty tunnel visioned with their events and stuff. But I guess once you finish your event, there's quite a long period to relax and go and party and sleep with all the other athletes if that's what they're doing.
I suppose so. I mean, I was competing for 19 days, I think. So I didn't have much time. But like, you know, the bobsleigh, the skeleton guys, they have 3 or 4 days of competition and then they're done. So maybe it was them. Maybe they're the ones that
That's too long to have to stay focused. 19 days.
You dialed in hyper focused the whole time or not?
Yeah,
surely.
I had to be, yeah. It was like I did the mixed doubles before I did the men's. So I basically played like 2 events back to back and I had 24 hours in between the 2 competitions. And we finished 4th in the mixed doubles. And that was like the worst spot. So we had to play like 2 extra games to not get anything. So yeah, Jen and I were like emotionally spent after that event. And then we had to like pick ourselves back up within a day to play in the men's and the women's events.
Do you have like a performance unlock? Like one thing that you're like, this makes sure that I perform well every time. Like if you could say one thing, what would it be?
I mean, mine's pretty boring. I just have to go for a walk and a coffee, and that just kind of helps me. It's like I don't know, it just helps me relax and like unwind and stop thinking about competing. And it was just
you need to take your mind off the curling.
Yeah,
like just no headphones, no anything. You're just like walking, letting your brain kind of just like free roam.
Well, sometimes I'll listen to like a podcast, or I'll listen to.
He listens to Out of Bounds.
Exactly. Yeah.
Out of Bounds. That's the one I listen to the most. And then sometimes I'll ask a friend or a sports psychologist or something to just go for a walk. It's pretty simple. Yeah.
Bruce,
Thank you so much.
thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Congratulations.
Oh,
What an
thanks.
incredible Olympics.
Enjoy
Yeah.
London. If you get a chance next week, come over and I'll show you
Yeah,
how to
exactly.
be a
Good luck.
hybrid rock
Good
star.
luck next week. Yeah, I'll maybe come and cheer you guys on.
Nice one, mate. Congratulations
Amazing.
again. Well done.
Cheers.
Thanks,
We'll
Bruce.
chat there. Bye.
Kink of the week.
Yeah, can you bring us into it?
Kink of the week. Kink of the week. Hey.
Okay, the thing is, I was doing a little bit of research on kinks this week, so I was like, what is our kink going to be? I don't know. I found out that the word kink and fetish are used interchangeably, but they're actually different things. And I thought that this is an important thing for us to discuss. Let me just read what it said, because I found it fascinating. Okay, so it says, like kinks, fetishes typically fall outside the bounds of what is considered typical or mainstream sexual practices. The difference is that a fetish involves non-sexual objects, body parts, or behaviors that need to be present for a person to feel sexual arousal. Some examples of fetishes include foot fetishes, balloon fetishes, and a fetish for body hair. While a kinkster might indulge in different types of kinks, a fetishist will find it challenging to get turned on or sexually satisfied if their sexual activity doesn't include their fetish. So then I was thinking, do I have any fetishes? Do I have anything that...
So you need it to be there.
I mean, then you're kind of like, are we just talking about like sexual preferences? Like, you know...
I'm not going to lie. I think they're the same thing. It kind of sounds like the same thing to me.
Like, I guess a fetish would be like you liking big guys or something. You know what I mean? Because like it would mean that you're not attracted to not big guys, or like you're not sexually attracted to not big guys. You say that's a fetish. But then I guess like kink is more like this is just like an add-on. It's just like an extra thing.
Okay.
I definitely have like anti-fetishes, like things that I definitely am not. Like I will not be aroused if they are there. You know,
If they enter the chat.
if they enter the chat. I just thought it was interesting. I don't know.
I don't think it makes a difference. I think they're the same thing. I think they can be used interchangeably.
Tell us about our kink of the week. Tell us what it is.
So this week, kink of the week, drum roll please, is tickling. It's a pretty soft kink, I would say. It's not like a... It's not...
You're
it's not
shaming
one
the kinks. You're like, this one's like not that important.
This is
Not
like
that
a 1
cool.
out of 10, whereas like sounding is like a 10 out of 10 for me.
Oh God.
But yeah. I
What
don't
if
think it's gonna...
sounding
People aren't
was
gonna
a
be like...
fetish?
People aren't gonna be
You
like,
were only
oh my
turned
God.
on if you were sounding.
There's no way. This is pretty soft, isn't it? Like people aren't going to turn heads and be like, "Oh my God, what? You're into tickling." Whereas if you were like, "Yeah, I'm getting pegged or doing sounding," people are going to be like, "Damn."
I think
Holy
that
shit.
there's a time and place for tickling. Don't you think?
I didn't
I
do it
think-
whilst I was having sex.
I don't do it like in the process.
Maybe it was
In
like
sex,
the
but, like-
initial foreplay.
Yeah. It's
Of, like-
foreplay, right?
Yeah, of like it's
I think-
it's intimate, isn't it? In a way of like tickle me. Oh my God, stop. And then it's like, oh, carry on. And then like, no,
I think that I'm like slightly allergic to
tickling.
a very strong seriousness in sex. You know what I mean? I am so much more turned on by like a playfulness in sex. And that's where I think that tickling is actually
A good thing.
really
for you.
interesting. Yeah. I think it like lightens the mood in something that can be a little too serious. You know?
Intense.
You gotta go with the flow. You gotta have fun. Tickle.
Where'd you like to be tickled?
I mean, I would say that I'm not a ticklish person. I'm very like mind over matter about that, but I guess I'm ticklish in maybe my armpits. I don't know. What about you?
Nah, it's ribs, isn't it? Ribs is sensitive.
Ribs?
Yeah.
I would
Are you talking about like being drawn on or like a physical, like actual like tickle?
being drawn on?
Yeah, but just like with your fingers. You're like, oh yeah, draw my back. You must say that, surely.
I'm so confused. I think that we're
You're
losing a little bit
weird.
of something
You're
in
weird.
translation here.
You're weird.
You can't say that I'm weird when we're talking about kink of the week. We've talked about this, power bottom.
No, but what's
can't
your
shame-
definition of a tickle then?
I think like what about
why
like
did
you know like
why were you
you know like
why
when
were
you
you like
touch someone like on their obliques or whatever and you kind of like jump or whatever and you're like
yeah, that's your ribs.
no, that's
Yeah.
the obliques. That's like your
like-
sides.
Yeah,
Your
yeah, like
ribs are
that
higher.
area. Yeah, like
Yeah,
but
yeah.
anywhere around there is what I
Okay.
mean. But like you can't really tickle an armpit. It's just kind of like
You can. People are ticklish there.
Show me.
Well, you can't really tickle yourself. I think that's proven.
Yeah, you can't tickle yourself.
Maybe that's why it's part of the kink, is that it has to be someone else doing it.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, that's a good point.
You know?
But
you
back
can't
to the
draw on
drawing.
yourself.
Back to the
drawing board.
Back to the drawing. Do you not say that to Jared?
No.
No. What do you say?
Draw on
You
me?
just don't do that. What do you? Yeah, like, you know when you're just gliding your hand like over someone's back, and it's like, I'm not like I'm drawing a fucking picture. I'm just nicely, gently caressing skin.
We don't really say anything for that. We don't really ask each other to do that for each other.
You just don't do it. Oh, I love that. Like, I'm like tickle my. Well, I guess I
You're
would
like,
say tickle my feet.
Draw me
my
like
feet.
one of your French girls.
I'm like draw my
It's like,
feet. Yeah.
Draw on my feet? No, I would say like give me a foot massage.
Yeah, but I don't want
somebody to
I don't want
my
like
feet.
I don't
want
like
a kneading.
Physical. No, well, yeah, I do want that as well. But he doesn't want to do that all the time.
Why?
So like a light, gentle, like caress is middle ground.
Sounds like Paul's being lazy.
Yeah, you're telling me. Every night we go to bed, I'm like, "Whoa, will you massage my calves?" He's like, "Fuck
It's
off."
always the calves.
He's like,
The
"No."
calves really take the
I'm
brunt
like,
of it.
Please.
That's
Moving
interesting.
on.
Wait,
Moving on.
there's something else.
What? Oh yeah. So okay, I won't react that well. Oh yeah, that's really I forgot about that. Can we just say what happened?
Just say what happened.
It makes it
yeah,
more
it's
funny.
better. Yeah.
So someone wrote in anonymously, which isn't the funny part, by the way. Someone wrote in anonymously if we could, because we asked for people to talk about their kinks and why they are their kinks and why it's attractive to them and why they enjoy it. So someone wrote it in, and I said to our podcast producer, I said, because they didn't send it as a voice note, and I wanted it to be a voice note. I was like, could you just try sending a voice note to to me and Sam?
And we can play it like it was the person who actually was talking about BDSM as their kink.
So we could play it. And he said,
Jake, you got to get it out. You got to get it out.
sorry. It's not even going to be that funny now. But he was like, I just wanted to disguise my voice.
So let's play it. Let's play a clip. I got it.
Okay, you play it.
I'll play it.
Well, I just want to say that I love the podcast. So glad you guys are back for season 2. Voice note about BDSM.
That's enough. I can't.
Play the first bit.
No, I
Play the
can't.
first
I
bit.
can't do
Please,
it.
please. One more time,
Okay.
one more time.
Well, I just want to say that I love the podcast. So glad you guys are back.
Okay, that's enough. But we are going to save this one. We got to save it.
I am sweating so much.
Anyway, thank you to our producer for really giving us a good laugh.
What this person was saying was that in reference to BDSM, which was our kink of the week last week. So if you haven't watched episode 1, then you should probably do it. They have a high stressful job where they have to make all the decisions. Whereas when someone's more dominant for them, it takes all the decision making and thinking away from the sexual acts. So it's a way for them to basically just take away everything from their brain and enjoy the moment of intimacy more, I guess. Is that how you took it, Sam?
Yeah, it was interesting that, their first line is like, it isn't about the pain aspect. And I think my initial perception was just that must be what it's all about. So it was interesting seeing a perspective that was saying it's actually not about that. It's more about the control.
Yeah. So again, if you do have any kinks or things that you go through, I know we laugh about them, but we are genuinely trying to just discuss them as a topic. So if you do have anything, everything will be anonymous, but please, it makes it exciting and it's good for us to engage. And hopefully someone, worst case, is either enjoys the kink and they're a bit ashamed of it, or we just get a good laugh out of it.
Listen, this is my point though. I think we got to laugh about sex stuff. Otherwise it's just like shame. And we've had so much shame in our lives, like growing up, and it's like, no, I want to laugh about it. It's fun. It's supposed to be fun.
No, we enjoy this segment, and so do most people. So keep them coming. And if you have anything that you want us to discuss, even if you feel like it's small, we'll throw it in there.
We've got one final section, and that is from the LGBTQ&A.
Oh, your one.
Yeah, I put on my story, what is one thing that you feel like you're missing out on by being gay? And I actually got a ton of responses, and I had a feeling that we would, because this is something that I think queer men think about a lot, maybe just queer people in general. They were surprising me, so I wanted to share some of them.
Your questions, you basically gave them a question, right?
They said, what are you missing out on by being gay? You want to go first?
romantic relationships during my youth.
It kind of reminds me of like Love Victor. Did you watch that TV show?
No.
It Love Victor, Love Simon, they're all about like high schoolers having boyfriends and stuff. And it's very sweet. And I think that we relate to it as gay adults because we're like, we didn't get the opportunity to do that. I remember going to the mall with my girlfriend.
Doesn't
It would have been
count.
so different. It would have been
Doesn't
so
count.
different going to the mall with my boyfriend, like holding his hand.
I think about this, I don't think about this a lot, but it's a topic of conversation whenever I go on podcasts or talk about certain things. And I think I've only realized how much I missed out on it when I met Paul. Like,
Mm.
I remember, and I've said it a few times now, but I genuinely, the first time we met up, we went for a dog walk and I held his hand and I literally was so nervous about even holding his hand. My hands were sweaty. I was shitting myself. And we basically just like held hands and I was like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
Like, my willy was absolute rock solid. And I
No,
was
it was
like,
not.
what the heck? Honestly, I
Really?
was like, what the hell is happening to me? I was like, this is fucking crazy. I was
Oh
like,
my
how
God.
have I never felt this before? And it was like, it was insane. And all I did
Mhm.
was hold his hand.
Mhm.
I was like, oh my God. And that was the moment I knew I was definitely gay. And that's when I decided to come out. But it made me think how much I'd missed out on as well. Like, you have
Mm.
all the happy thoughts and you're like, wow, this is amazing. But over time, I was like, I'm 21. I have not had this feeling with anyone that I've been with previously.
Yeah.
And I've been sexually active for 5, 6 years,
Yeah.
which is like,
I forget. We've talked about this before. Like you were watching gay porn at that time, right? It was
yeah,
just yeah. You just weren't
yeah.
100% sure that you were gay because you hadn't
I
been with a man yet.
I always knew, like, I definitely knew I was gay. It was just such a denial thing. So
Yeah.
it was more like a confirmation rather than
Mm.
it was like okay, I definitely need to, it was more of a confirmation for coming out
Yeah.
and being like, I need to tell people because this is just the path that I'm on now. Whereas
Mhm.
before I was adamant that I would just live a life where I would get married and have kids with a woman because I was like, there's no way I'm going to be gay.
Yeah.
So, and then then that happened. And now here we are.
You know, another response was someone saying, I'm not missing out on literally anything. I even feel like I get to experience more than straight people do because I live in both my own gay world and the larger straight world. And this was lovely. I had a couple of people who responded like this. I think it's probably fair to say that this person has a fair bit of privilege in the gay space. You know, you probably live in an urban area. You have a really good friend system. You have a really good family system. But I think that it is fair to say also that, you know, there are tons of queer people who don't feel like they're missing out on anything.
I think I definitely view it as, I do feel like I miss out on certain things potentially, especially with the world that I'm in, being like sport and
Yeah.
the lad culture of talking about girls. And that's the majority of the conversations is that,
How
like,
terrible that
that,
you can't
yeah. But
be
being,
gross about talking about women.
essentially, yeah. I definitely feel like there's so much more that we get as well.
Yeah,
Not
totally.
like women don't play sport by any stretch, but me and Paul have a dartboard up in our bedroom and we play darts before we go to sleep. Like, how many
Bros. Yeah.
couples do that?
Yeah,
So
it's true.
I feel super blessed in that regard, and everyone, all my friends who are in relationships, I hope their girlfriends don't listen to this, but they're so jealous of mine and Paul,
Totally,
our
totally.
relationship. So jealous.
When I think
'Cause
about like
of
doing house things,
everything.
like where we have to lift something really heavy, I'm like, we're really lucky that we've got two men who are like pretty strong. Okay, but here's another one. And this was a lot of people's response. And that was my family's total love and acceptance. And that is challenging because I think there are so many queer people who have had a really tough time with their family.
You almost have to accept, as sad as it is that you can't choose your family.
Mm.
But I do think my mum was really bad when I first came out.
Yeah.
So, and she's fine now. Like, she's absolutely awesome. So time does heal and you have to put in the legwork. Like, I had to really, really work her and help her understand and educate her. So there is hope, but sometimes it can be really tough. And sometimes you're better off if you have the support from other people. You are sometimes, I think, just better off doing
Leaning.
life on your own, essentially, which is harsh. And there's so many different circumstances. Like, if you're not financially stable, if you're young, if you're like 15, 16 and you need a roof over your head, I know there's charities that support that now, but it's not, especially at that age. I old enough when I came out that I had enough money. I was independent in my own mindset and where I was at, that I could turn around and be like, look, if you don't want me, fine.
Yeah.
I'm willing to work with you. I just need you to show me some element of love and support, and then we can get through the next step of whatever this looks like.
See, that's what's interesting is that I remember being nervous about telling my parents that I was gay. Coming out is obviously a stressful and scary thing for anyone. But I never had a question about whether or not I was still going to be able to live at that house. I never had a
Yeah.
question that they
Yeah.
weren't going to love me or that they were going to house me or, anything like that. And that is just like massive privilege. It is very, very lucky. Another interesting one. I often wonder when I'm old and perhaps if my partner is alive or not, who will help take care of me / us. Will we have LGBTQ plus care homes in the future to help our next business venture?
We could do that. Does someone want to help us fund that? Because that's crazy.
Bruce can head up our curling team.
Yeah. I would say the demographic for curling could be pretty old. Maybe they might slip and break their back. They'll be okay.
The gays at the Out of Bounds retirement home, they're going to be very fit. Very
Yeah, they're
fit.
athletes. We actually have bowls here, which is the equivalent of curling. Have you ever seen that? Like lawn bowls.
No, I don't know what that is at all.
It's actually quite fun. But it's a lot. It's very much an old person sport because it's not very taxing. Imagine curling, but you have a ball. So you have the curling ball, but you would actually turn it the other way so it's thin down, and then you roll it, and then you have to hit the little ball rather than. So it's a bit like bowls. You know, the one you throw. You throw that with a ball.
Wait. It's kind of like
The French game.
it's this thing. It's
Shuffleboard?
like shuffleboard. That's it. It's kind of like shuffleboard, right?
Yeah, but on a big lawn.
Okay.
Like big, like grassy.
Well,
then you
shuffleboard
have
is basically curling, but without the ice, right?
Yeah. So yeah, it's like that, but on a massive scale with a big boulder, and then you bowl it, and you have to try and hit the little ball.
Yeah.
You must have played like it's called bowls or whatever it's called, the French game, where you have a metal ball and then a circular ball, and you have to try and get
Yeah,
close
that's
to it.
called something else here. It's called
Balls.
oh, it's called
Crochet.
no, croquet is different. What is it called, Jason? Bocce ball. That's it.
Bocce ball.
It's called bocce ball. That's right.
So it's like
Yeah.
that, but you roll it rather than throw it.
I mean, the obvious one is the ability to have kids easy.
Getting to feel what a vagina is like. You can still go and do that, but it's not like a.
The two things aren't mutually exclusive.
Yeah. The ability to have kids easy. Straight couples don't have to pay $100K or go through a 3-year adoption process.
And that's valid.
Your friends have just had a baby.
My friends just had a baby. One of our new coworkers at Pride Fit just had a baby, and he and his wife were doing IVF for like 3 years. It is so hard as queer people to have children. And
Yeah.
here's what he said. I was on a call with him this morning, and he said to me, he's like, here's the thing. Our baby had a rough night last night. But I asked for this. I spent 3 years trying to have a baby, and I'm going to take the bad nights. That's fine. It kind of makes me appreciate it a little bit more as opposed to like our family members who like just got pregnant and then,
Yeah.
did you even think about getting pregnant?
3 or 4.
Did you even think about this before you did it?
Yeah. So I used to have a quote it was like, the fear of losing was more powerful than the prospect of gains, which is what
Mhm.
I basically, that's how I summed it up to people of like, that's why I didn't come out. Like the fear of losing that utopian lifestyle that I always wanted, the wife, the kids, the family, the being around my family with their families and whatever else. So a big part of mine growing up was that family lifestyle.
Yeah.
So that was something that I tried. I think I tried when I was coming out. I almost was like, this, it's not going to happen. So I pushed it so far to the back of my brain that I was like, okay, just don't even think about it.
Yeah.
And then I see friends that post, like getting to the age now where friends are having kids and families and things like that. And it hurts a little bit. I can't lie. Like it does. Like I know I can go and have kids, and I think me and Paul will in the next couple of years. But it's still something that plays on my mind for sure.
Cool. I have to run because I'm going to Miami, bitch.
Let's go.
Let's
baby.
go. I gotta go make a
My
flight. And I'm gonna do the open on Monday, and I'm gonna beat the shit out of you.
I can't do it. I can do it. I just have to wait till Thursday. So you have to text me your score,
Okay, I will.
and then I'll be
Okay.
mentally prepared to beat you, and I'll do whatever it takes to beat you.
Okay, bye. Kisses. No goodbye from you? Okay. Are you gonna say goodbye or not?
Bye, guys. Thank you for listening.
Bye.